Here. Hilliard.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Mennel. Here. Newman.
Here.
Parrish. Here. We have
If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is no presentations or special reports. Public comment, Paul? Okay.
Good evening, Leanne Brown with the Morton Chamber of Commerce and Morton Economic Development Council. Just wanted to share a few updates. Tomorrow is National Ag Day, so we're going to take that opportunity to share more about our 2023 Morton Pumpkin Festival for Farming Pumpkins is our theme this year, to really celebrate the agriculture of our community, our history, really celebrating the roots of our Morton community. So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, hopefully, weather permitting, we'll be out at Roth Pumpkin Patch to be on site and share a little bit more about the agriculture and what we can anticipate for Farming Pumpkins, our 57th Morton Pumpkin Festival. Also upcoming, we have a ribbon cutting and celebration. Representative Bill Howder has his office here in Morton and is ready to open the doors and showcase that space. So if you haven't had a chance to meet him, come out and join us on March 30th. That'll be at 4 p.m. for a ribbon cutting and open house with Representative Bill Howder. That is downtown on Main Street. And then upcoming, April 19th, we are going to be hosting our Morton Community Forecast Breakfast. This will be at the Knights of Columbus. We will open the doors and be ready to start the program at 8 o'clock. And if you would like your pumpkin pancakes, a little inside scoop, you get a taste of pumpkin pancakes at this breakfast. But it's just a great way to hear from our mayor, from the superintendent of 709, Craig Smock, our park director, our library director, and myself as the CEO of the Morton Economic Development Council, just to share vision and projects that all those organizations are working on throughout this year. So again, Wednesday, April 19th, at the Knights of Columbus, and that will be opening at 8 o'clock. Registration is open for that. So the Morton Community Forecast Breakfast, April 19th. And also tomorrow, you will see an announcement come out from the state DCO department. There are additional back to business grant programs that will be announced. These are in the categories of restaurants, hotels, and the creative arts. So there'll be 3 categories. There is certainly eligibility around each of these. Details will be released tomorrow, and then the portal for applications will open in 2 more weeks. So April 5th, I believe, the portals will open for applications, but they wanted to take a couple weeks to get the information out, the eligibility, the parameters, so businesses could start to put together their information and have their application ready. Us at the Morton EDC and Chamber, we have the information to share with businesses, and we also will be receiving additional documentation from DCO to send out. So we will get that information out, and we will be available to answer any questions. As I said, most often in the eligibility with these, the way we understand it, if you have received specific state funds in relation to the Back to Business grant programs that were prior released, your eligibility may be void or may be reduced. If you receive PPP, you should be fine and be able to apply for the grant. So there are some parameters in there that we need to work through and get that information out. But again, hotels, restaurants, and the creative arts business categories. Those are the next Back to Business grants that will be released. Details tomorrow. Grant portal will open the beginning of April. So more to come on that, but wanted to get that information out.
Thank you.
And did I hear you say the forecast breakfast was at Knights of Columbus?
Yes. I am just noticing that too.
Okay.
So tomorrow is or Wednesday is our symposium, EDC symposium at Morton Building. So yes,
Okay.
ignore, we handed out tickets. We have a couple of sponsors, so we were able to share a couple tickets with mayor and trustees to invite other people. And yes, disregard that is Knights of Columbus
Okay.
on that
So I
morning.
show up in the wrong place.
We'll make sure you're in your registration that you get confirmation for Knights of Columbus.
Thank you.
The consent agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, March 6th, 2023, and the approval of the bills. If we could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Parrot? Yes. Motion carries.
I have nothing tonight. Village Clerk, I think you have a nice announcement.
I would just like to announce for those that are not aware, the Morton 7th grade girls won state for IESA volleyball about a week ago. It was not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So they had some come from behind victories to get to that point. And also the 8th grade girls lost a tough match, but made it all the way to the 3rd, 4th place game for state. So big congratulations to them. Something that I thought was fantastic was that I had not been around volleyball in this town or anywhere else. I learned a lot about it. The way that the parents and the girls of 7th and 8th grade all came together. The bus driver, Mr. Castleman, was probably one of their biggest fans, was at every game and celebrated right there with them and all the coaches. So something that I noticed was that not only do we have championship teams, but our community also has championship individuals. And I think that's something to really be proud of.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Makes for a great community. So, Village Administrator.
I have a couple items tonight, Your Honor. The first of which is I'm asking for acceptance of bid for water distribution materials. Water main piping is part of bid A to Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of $24,432. Can I do these together? Okay. And water main fittings is part of bid A, bid B, and bid C to Corn Main in the amount of $90,006.40.
We can have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Parrot? Yes. Newman?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And the other item I have tonight is just a preliminary discussion of the budget for the fiscal year May 1, 2023 through April 30th, 2024. I believe you all received a copy of this. On page 2 is a summary. We're budgeting currently just over $43 million in revenue in total. We are budgeting expenses just over $56,200,000. So right now the deficit is budgeted at $13,200,000 for this budget. Of that $13 million, we have what I would call extraordinary capital expenses of over $17 million. So that would include the Flint Street extension, the expansion of the Erie and Birchwood intersection, replacing a fire engine and an ambulance, replacing the radio tower at the former police station, $8.5 million for the gas and water building, and then the remainder of the construction on the new water treatment plant of over $2 million. So if those aren't out of the ordinary, expenses weren't in there, we would be looking at a surplus of $4,200,000 or so. So we will discuss this again at the next meeting, but I just wanted to bring it forth, give you time to look at it, ask any questions. If we need any revisions, somebody needs to let me know.
Any comments or concerns or questions for Julie?
That's all I have tonight.
Okay. All right, Chief of Police.
I have one item tonight, Your Honor. Resolution authorizing government agency agreement with Flock Group.
We can have a motion.
Second.
As most of you got my email that I sent out last week, this is a tool that we've been utilizing probably for about the last 8 months, just off of the municipalities around us that have already entered into an agreement with them. One of the things that I did want to clarify from my email, when it comes to the storage of this, Flock does store all the data on it, but in order for other agencies to be able to access our data, they do have to enter into an agreement with us, so we have to authorize them to be able to do that. We're currently in an agreement with, I believe, Pekin, East Peoria, and Tazewell County to utilize their system now, so I would anticipate that we would authorize them into ours too if we decide to do this. But outside of that, without them asking for authorization, that nobody else would have access to it. So I did want to clarify that from the email that I sent out. So any other questions, I'll try to my best to answer for you. So
We'll open it up to questions.
So authorizing that, is that a blanket? I mean,
So basically, by authorizing it, that allows them to be able to utilize the data that's captured. I will say that there's 2 audits that are done. One, we can audit the system ourselves to see who's utilizing our data and how they're utilizing it. Anytime that you utilize it, you have to enter a case number, so it's not like you can just go in and randomly search for the data. You have to, give a reason as to why you're doing it. So you could always go back. Obviously, we're all on a Tazewell County same system, so we would have access to their system to make sure that they're actually using it for the cases that they're saying they're using it for, and vice versa. In our own house, we would make sure that the officers that are utilizing it are utilizing it for a case purpose, and would be able to catch that if it's not the case.
what permits? I saw that part of the cost was permits for doing this. Is that?
Yeah, so the permit cost is basically if it's on a state route, then they have to get permits from the state of Illinois in order to put those on there. That's part of it that's included in the cost, is they do all the asking for those permits, so they do all the paperwork for that. They do all the installation, they do all the maintenance on it. If in 2 years we decide that we no longer want to use the program, they come and take everything with them. So there would be no, it's not like they're just left there if we decide in 2 years that we did not want to do it. The nice thing about it is if in 2 years we want to renew, we can still renew at this price. So we're kind of, if we do it now, we are locking in the price for basically 4 years. And the price does increase after April 1, so.
And Chief, one of the things you said prior to the meeting that I think you didn't touch on there was that you talked about 2 audits, but the other one was the company itself.
Yes, the company itself does an audit as well. That's correct. And like I said, this is one of those tools that I didn't know how much we would get use out of it, but it has solved a lot of different cases that we would not have been able to solve without it. I know last summer we had a night where we had 50 to 60 vehicles broken into, and this, along with an AirPod, was basically what was able to break the case for us. So we've been able to solve catalytic converter thefts off of it, retail thefts, residential burglaries. I mean, just a ton of cases have been made with the system. It's been way more utilized even without having it in our own town than I would have ever anticipated. So.
If I may, I'd like to speak to this. First of all, sometimes I think I must be hiding under a rock. I had no idea that there was such a proliferation of these type of surveillance systems. I've heard a lot of talk and mention of camera systems, particularly in some of the larger cities. I guess I was more under the impression that those were systems that were monitoring traffic, maybe even monitoring red lights, violations, that kind of thing. And I guess I never really considered that it has made it to hometown. I see this this type of surveillance as a insidious invasion of our privacy. System that can easily be used, very easily be used by a few people to control everyone. I know you mentioned that the access is controlled, but through a court order, that information can be obtained by anybody. So I don't think it's protected, all that protected. Granted, we might have policies locally as far as how it's used, but that's not my concern. My concern is on a national level, I guess. You may all think, this kind of surveillance is no big deal if I'm a law-abiding citizen. But you have to consider what can it be used for in the future if some authorities decide that you don't agree with the correct political narrative, social narrative at the time. These systems can be used to monitor and control and limit your movement. Again, a very, very insidious invasion of our privacy. I just don't agree that it's something that we should do. I'm just, again, absolutely amazed that we have so many local officials that would just lay down all these communities that were mentioned in your memo. Local communities, that we have local officials that would just lay down and buy into this stuff without raising these kind of concerns. Again, the name itself, Flock Company or whatever, there's a lot that can be read into a name. And that name, that tells me that we're just like a flock of sheep that need to be controlled, and that's what this is all about. Again, I know my vote against this will not make any difference. Perhaps if this board voted against it, at least it would send a message. But I just don't see that this is something that we should be doing. Again, there's a lot of good that can come. I don't argue. It's a great tool for policing, but it's even a greater tool for abuse down the road. We've seen what's happened in this nation with our top law enforcement agency and the way they have colluded with third-party companies in controlling people. I don't think we need to go there and continue this or let this proliferate any further. I guess that's my thoughts on this. I don't think as a board we should be approving this. Thank you.
Chief, I had a question for you. How in sync is this to be able to utilize with some of the in-car card readers, plate readers?
So we've not really reached out to Flock with that. That was kind of the initial wave back 20 years ago, where they put the the plate reader basically in the squad car, so it read every license plate that came up. We've not really broached the subject with them on that type of system. We merely just looked at the system that were basically mounted at the locations, basically on the exits of town. So.
Yeah, I guess my question was really how, like, those agencies that do have the in-car plate readers.
And again, I don't know
how
if
it can
anybody
utilize with
local
that
has
system.
that. I've not really heard that. It's more just this kind of system that we're looking at here. So
Okay.
I would think that if you went with them, you could intertwine the two of them. But we've not really looked at the in-car ones.
Question on it talks about in here the deletion time for the main data, that, as I understand it, being 30 days that it rolls over, but then it talks about the wing replay. What is the wing replay? That being 7 days, what is that versus
I don't think I can answer that. That I don't think I can answer as far as what that actual tool is. So basically, the way we utilize it is if we get a case, the next day investigations come in. If it's something that they need to try and identify, they'll put it into the system and see if anything matches on it. So obviously, that's basically you've got 30 days then to kind of catch a match. The wing system, I'm not real familiar with that portion of it, and I don't know that we even utilize that, to be honest with you. So,
And I guess I'm torn. I'm very in between. You know, you and I have had a conversation earlier today about it. I'm very much understand Ken's thoughts, and you know, I'm not a fan of Big Brother. You know, and I see the potential for abuses, and not locally, but outside of our local control, and that scares me. It scares me, the idea of our data being held by a third party, and for 30 days. 30 days is a pretty long time to hold that data versus, you know, if it was against a, you know, they call it like a hot list, that you said, okay, I'm looking for this license plate, and then it pinged right then when it got it, and then the picture goes away. But being kept for 30 days, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. But I also, and particularly after our conversation, I see the incredible asset it could be to the police department, and it's a tough decision. I honestly, I see both sides. You know, you have definitely safety concerns on one side, but then, you know, also the privacy concerns on the other, and where that balance is a hard decision.
You know, I do not disagree with anything Trustee Newman said, and I think that there's a lot of concerns that come up with that, and I think that there are so many avenues that can track us these days, from our credit card use to my Kroger card, or, you know, my cell phone. And I think we've all heard the stories where you have conversation, and next thing you know, you're getting an ad for something very similar that you've been discussing. But I also think that these things can be abused. They are abused, but on the other side, I think that this is a great potential tool for our citizens, for the police department to utilize. So I look at that and the potential from it. It's another tool I see that the department has to put in their box. Maybe, hopefully they never have to use it, but I'm a realist too, and that's not going to be the case. When I talk to the chief and I hear about the number of times we've utilized those camera systems in our area, I know that we're going to be utilizing this too. And I think that, you know, the tragic thing is we have some child that's taken, and we have an avenue that we could have used to be able to more expeditiously try to find a plate and get that in an Amber Alert out. I think is a big avenue.
I agree with everything everybody's saying, but I would throw this out there. Anytime somebody commits a crime, the burden of proof is on the state's attorney. And all that the defending attorneys have to do is create that shadow of a doubt, and then that person gets off. If this tool can provide the type of effectiveness that you described in all those car thefts to get the people, without it, you may not have been able to do it. I agree that this is one of the most wonderful communities to live in, and I'd like to keep it that way. And so we need to continue to provide the best tools, and we need to let others from outside the community know that we're prepared with the latest technology to protect what we have. And I think this is a step in the right direction. Now, to Trustee Newman's point, if we could get somebody maybe to come in and reassure us of the confidentiality of the information with the exception of a court order or the agreement, that would make everybody feel better, because, you know, it's out there. Things get out, and we like to maintain as much privacy as possible. But I think the tool, the value of the tool outweighs potential risk in my mind at this point.
Any other
And
comments?
if I understand it correctly, it's, every time I leave town, it's recording that.
Basically, what it does is it takes a series of pictures, mainly focused on like side of the car and license plate.
Of everyone.
Of every car that, yes, that's correct. Yeah, so it's not video, it's just
No.
a series of pictures, yeah.
The software has algorithms then that too, the way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, that not only reads the license plate, but also distinguishing factors on the car.
Exactly.
A bike rack on the back,
Bumper
stickers
stickers.
on the back.
Right.
Can read those and distinguish between, a black car with stickers on the back and a black car without stickers on the back.
Correct, that's correct. Yep.
Which again, I see as a incredibly valuable tool for you, but then it's like,
Well, I appreciate all the questions. Is there any others before we vote?
What percentage of other communities have this?
So just in our area, East Peoria is currently using it, Pekin's currently using it. To give you a percentage, I don't have that. I believe Peoria is using it, Tazewell County is going to it, and I believe Washington is also. So pretty much all the bigger agencies within Tazewell County.
So if I go to any of those communities, there's gonna be pictures taken of me in my car.
Depending on where yes, I don't know that they all have every entrance exit point advantage, but I do know that, the last I heard, I know Pekin was looking to almost quadruple what they have right now, so.
So I could be in the system right now because of going to those communities.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any difference whether we have it here or not.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, it's true.
Yes. Yes, and I'll just, one final comment. Again, if this is all kept local and controlled locally, that's one thing. But with the way, and the way we've seen things change over the last couple of years, I think we're all fooling ourselves if we think we will continue to have say locally over how these types of tools are used. And I can easily see, again, some agency above us, state police, FBI, whoever, they're gonna come in and they're gonna tell you what data they want, and you don't have a choice. They're gonna be running your department.
All right, anybody else on this side, any trustees? Are you over here?
I just, again, I understand trustee Newman's concern, and I don't disagree with what he's saying, but I think if that day comes, we can end it.
All right, let's call the roll.
Newman,
No.
Mennel,
Yes.
Leach,
Yes.
Hilliard,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Parrot.
No.
Motion carries.
That's all you have?
Nothing, no, sir.
Okay, Corporation Counsel.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Public Works, Julie, you did a fine job there. Zoning and code enforcement.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
All right, any of the village trustees have anything tonight? Not, I need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we have a closed session on there, Your
Oh,
Honor.
that's right, I'm sorry.
Closed session is requested tonight pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C2, discuss collective negotiating matters between the village and its employees or their representatives.
Make that motion. Second.
Call the roll.
Blunier,
Yes.
Hilliard,
Yes.
Leach,
Yes.
Mennel,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Parrot. Yes, motion carries.
I thought we talked to this week.